with your host, Andrew Romanella.
I don't think I'm good enough in this spot based on my own personal mental health, so I can't continue. In a pear tree. What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 and change. I hope you're saddled up for a really good Thursday show because all four major professional sports are on the docket. Today, we ask you to follow the social media, The Rome Show 1. It's on the bottom of the screen. That's The Rome Show, the number one. Instagram. Whoa. Buttons. Instagram, X. That's what we were looking for. TikTok, Facebook, the whole nine. If you want to comment live on the show, head to youtube.com/12OZ Sports or x.com/12OZ Sports, and you can get in on the action. Some trades in Major League Baseball. Some proposed trades that were denied in Major League Baseball. A benching in the National Football League, another trade by the New York Rangers of a player that was supposed to be a key factor in a championship run, and Thursday night football. And it's not just Thursday night football because we have a good matchup in the Broncos and the Chargers, but we are at that moment in the season, people, where you can clinch a playoff berth or you can secure what you're looking to secure in this time frame. So week 15 of the National Football League also kicks off, so we can give you our daily bananas on that as well. You know, at one period of time in October, we hit that sports equinox, right? You get all four sports are playing on the exact same day. It's the playoffs in Major League Baseball. It's the beginning of the National Hockey League and the NBA season. And it's like week 5 or 6 in the National Football League. And arguably, that's supposed to be like one of the greatest sports days in the history of time because you get the chance to watch every pro sport play. But I would like to argue that this time period, at least for me, is the most fun time period of sports. And here is what. One, you're in the thick of the National Football League season. You are who's going to make the postseason. Some teams have been eliminated from playoff contention. Who's going to be the number one overall pick? There is so much in the National Football League to look forward to over the next 4 months that I think this time period in the National Football League is some of the most fun. And the other part of that is I would argue that people enjoy more so the November, December, January, February through draft time period of football, sometimes more than they enjoy the first 2 or 3 weeks of the National Football League schedule. No one wants to watch the preseason. No one enjoys watching September football outside of the excitement of watching football. The football's never very good. We always usually complain about the preseason. So if you think about 3 weeks of the preseason and the first month of the season, that's 7 weeks right there. 7 weeks where it's exciting. Football's awesome. But from my standpoint, I'm more excited about watching Major League Baseball playoffs and then those other 3 sports are starting. Whereas now we get Major League Baseball free agency. You got the NBA Cup finishing up this week. Whether you like that or you don't, doesn't matter. Still a little bit more cachet in the NBA than just regular seasons games 28 through 31. You got an inching towards the halfway point of the National Hockey League season, and the trade deadline is absolutely just on fire right now. And you've had 3 head coaches fired so far to date. And then, of course, football, which is easy for all of us to watch, easy for all of us to get excited, whether we're watching the Jags play the Tennessee Titans or we're watching the Chiefs play the Bills. We in this country love football. So that is why I believe this time period of life is so much fun. And yesterday, I believe we were gifted with some of that excitement. So let's start in Major League Baseball first. We'll go baseball, we'll go hockey, and we will end in the National Football League. Last week, the big story was the fact that Juan Soto signed with the New York Metropolitans, and it became this big thing about the New York Mets versus the New York Yankees, as opposed to Juan Soto simply just wanting to choose the Mets, okay? And so it's like the Yankees have never lost a player to the Mets before, yada, 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 yada. And at least a lot of the conversation from my group of Yankees fans coming out of this not signing Juan Soto deal was, well, if you were going to give one guy $760 million over the course of 15 years, you should be able to appropriately utilize those funds. Now, instead of on one individual, multiple individuals. So the Yankees, they go out and they get Max Fried, which I thought was a phenomenal signing for the Yankees, because I do believe that Max Fried is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, and maybe a little bit older. Yes, maybe you had to sign him to a longer term deal than you might have wanted to. Yes, but that's just baseball nowadays. And so now you have Garrett Cole along with Max Fried and Nestor Cortez, Carlos Rondon, and I don't know if it's Clark Schmidt or Stroman or who you figure out for that fifth spot there, but that is a very awesome outfield. Well, the Yankees continue making moves this week where they traded for Cody Bellinger yesterday from the Chicago Cubs. Cody Bellinger spent the first 6 years of his career, stats are up on the screen if you were wondering, spent the first 6 years of his career with the Los Angeles Dodgers, winning a World Series with them in 2020. The great part about Belly is he is a plays multiple positions guy, can play the outfield, can play first base, is a left-handed hitter. He, as in Cody Bellinger, hit 266 last season for the Cubs, 18 home runs, 78 RBI. He's got 2 years remaining on his deal, roughly. I say roughly because there's some interesting caveats in this deal, roughly 25 per year. So the Yankees will have Cody Bellinger to add to their lineup over the next 2 seasons, and Max Fried to add to their bullpen over what feels like the next 10 years. They also made a trade for the relief pitcher Williams from the Milwaukee Brewers, which was a huge trade. So Devin Williams comes over to shore up the bullpen. Max Fried is signed to shore up the rotation, and Cody Bellinger is signed to add to that lineup. Now, what do you do at first base? You could probably have a real chance to go after Rizzo, after Pete Alonso, if that's who you want to go after, but a really good move there by the New York Yankees. In other baseball news, Nolan Arenado, who's currently a St. Louis Cardinal, has denied a trade to the Houston Astros. Now, Nolan Arenado has a no-trade clause. He is currently a St. Louis Cardinal, has been there for the last 4 years, started his career in Colorado. For those of you wondering at home, Nolan Arenado is an 8-time All-Star gamer. He's an 8-time All-Star. He has 10 Gold Gloves, and he is a career 285 hitter in 12 seasons with 341 career home runs. His stats are up on the screen right now if you'd like to take a look yourself. Last season with the St. Louis Cardinals, Nolan Arenado hit 272 with 16 homers and 71 RBIs. If you look at the screen, look at his stats, this guy's no slouch. Arenado can play baseball, and he's kind of been one of those scenarios where He started his career drafted by the Colorado Rockies. Not much winning is going to happen in Colorado, so he spends most of his rookie deal in Colorado, which depends on who you're talking to, could be considered a waste of some of your career. But at the end of the day, spends 8 seasons in Colorado, becomes an elite player, gets traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, who, by the way, most people believe is one of the best organizations in Major League Baseball. Well, then he gets traded there, and they have what feels like one of their worst stretches in the last 100 years. And so Nolan Arenado gets traded to a St. Louis Cardinals team that is just not very good over the last 4 years and has been producing, playing a good third base. But now you're looking at it going, he's 33. He has a no trade clause, so it's going to be really specific where he goes. Will this player, who is a fantastic player, elite player throughout the course of his career, have a chance to win a championship? So the Nolan Arenado sweepstakes are going to continue to roll downhill. By the way, for Bellinger, the Cubs got Cody Petit. He is a right-handed pitcher from the Yankees minor league system. Those are, I should say, proper English, your Major League Baseball updates as we roll through the offseason. And this might sound crazy to say out loud, but it is December 19th. And we are almost exactly 2 months away from pitchers and catchers. I know. So wild. Andrew Romanella here, The Rome Show, 12ouncesports.com. The Rome Show 1, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, whatever the deal is. Follow us. Jeff Passan wrote an article yesterday because they've been doing a lot of data, speaking of Major League Baseball, on arm injuries. And I just want to give you a quick thought on this. So much more time in life to talk about this because this is a major concern in Major League Baseball right now. But the article reads 5 biggest takeaways from MLB's pitching study. I'm going to read you the 5 takeaways, a stat that I found last night, and then just give you a thought real quick. Early season injuries have become especially worrisome to teams. First takeaway for pitchers in Major League Baseball. 2, MLB is now on the record saying that the most significant causes of arm injuries are velocity, spin chasing, and maximum effort pitching. Technology runs the game, which is also added to wanting more spin rate, which is how much the ball rotates, wanting more velocity, effective velocity compared. So velocity, which you actually throw, and your effective velocity compared to where you throw it in the zone. Technology runs the game, and that will lead you to doing more things to try and be better, more advanced, and possibly blowing out your arm. The minor leagues do not prepare pitchers for the demands of major leagues. I was very interesting to read that one. So 20 years ago, 55% of major league starts and just over 50% of minor league starts came on 5 or fewer days rest. In 2024, that dropped to about 1/3 of starts in the big leagues and barely 10% in the minor leagues. The same trend applies to relief pitchers. Big league relief pitchers on back-to-back days around 16% of the time. In the minor league, it's closer to 2%. So think about that. You're getting a different rest situation when you're a minor league starter, and you're also being used significantly more on back-to-backs when you're a minor league reliever. So that schedule, that demand, the lack of wanting to win, which is really what it comes down to in the minor leagues, and the need to quote unquote develop and just get to the major leagues, that could be having a factor. The danger of amateur trickle down, which I find interesting. So now I'm not going to read the whole article to you, but I'm going to read the last 2 sentences. In 2014, at the Perfect Game National Showcase, which is an amateur event for the greatest players in the country at the high school level, in 2014, five pitchers threw at least 95 miles per hour. 2015 and beyond to 2020, that number was 7, 6, 3, and 8. But in 2020, the number of pitchers at the high school level, perfect game, which is the best in the country, throwing over 95 miles per hour, 16. Yes, you heard that correctly. 16. But then 5 years later, so where we sit right now, the number has doubled. So last year, 36 players were registered throwing the ball 95 miles per hour or harder at the age 15 through 17 in high school. For reference point of that statistic 10 years ago, that number was 5. Okay? So there is a real problem in Major League Baseball. There's a real problem in baseball in general. And I saw this stat yesterday, put it up on my Instagram, or the Instagram, The Rome Show 1, everywhere you get your social media. In 2024, there were more Tommy John surgeries in Major League Baseball than in the entire first 25 years after 1974 when the surgery was invented. So from 1974 to 1999, there were the same amount of Tommy John surgeries as 2024's baseball season alone. We have a problem. There's a problem in baseball, and it really does need to be figured out. And I do think, as a baseball coach myself, who looks to keep up with the ever-changing times and try to continue to be a great baseball coach that can develop his players and give them arm strength and arm speed and be elite pitchers and whatever else it is, yeah, there's a lot that you're trying to bring to the table so that you can keep developing your players in the state that the game is currently in. But at the end of the day, as Major League Baseball and its research have stated, the change in baseball over the last 50 years with how we treat pitchers, how they train, how we use them, has really affected the development of the arm, both good and bad. The good side of it is we see 100 way more. We see 97 to 100 way more thrown on the mound. The bad, though, is that we see injuries every other moment. It is sad and disturbing that someone could say to me, well, might as well get Tommy John because everyone's going to get it. No, that's not the case. And that's not what you should want. And I had a baseball coach of mine that coached me in college. He reached out and he said 2 things about baseball, okay? But I'm going to read you the one about Tommy John. Tommy John surgery is because nobody throws a baseball anymore. It's plyos and bands and jugs of water. Throwing a baseball equals throwing a baseball. Long toss and throw pens. Just so I can translate that into layman's terms for the people. Shout out Coach York for tuning into the show. Plyos are rubber, different weighted baseballs to a degree. They're not really baseballs that you throw against a wall. So they'll have heavy ones, they'll have lighter ones. The idea of the plyos is to build arm strength, to work on your arm moving faster or the whippiness of your arm. All these different quote unquote benefits, which I don't disagree with either. Okay. Bands are simply what you see in the gym. Pitchers do bands every single day. They try and warm up the arms, the shoulders, whatever the case is. And then water bags, we actually have jugs of water that we'll like shake and we'll hold and we'll throw and all these other things. And York's point here is all of these new age training methods are happening while we're in this area of injury. Whereas from 1974 to 1999, even though Tommy John was invented, not much technology, not much crazy invention to baseball other than throw the baseball as far as you can, which is long toss. Go out to 250 feet, try and throw the ball as far as you can, all that good stuff. So Major League Baseball, which we talk about a lot on this show from the standpoint of an entertainment value and an adaptability standpoint and where Major League Baseball is going. Major League Baseball's got some real questions to answer, and the injury stats are equally as alarming as the stats that they were looking at that caused them to want to make all of these changes to the rules in the first place. Andrew Romanello, 12ouncesports.com. It's the Rome Show in the morning here every single day at 7 a.m. I hope you have that set on your dial. When we get back, we'll talk Rangers trade of Capo Caco and then Thursday night football. So much left to do here on the Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. Back after this.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Yeah. Woo! The Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. Broadcasting live on YouTube and X. 6 days till Christmas. I hope you asked Santa for everything you were looking for. If you didn't, don't worry. Head to RomeShowShop.com. Use the promo code Christmas. We had someone order a t-shirt the other day. 2.5 days in the box on the way to the house. So I'm not saying I can guarantee you Christmas Day delivery, but I can guarantee you happiness. And I mean, what's better? It shows up on the 26th and they're happy, or it shows up on the 24th in a box under the tree and they're unhappy. I'm just saying. RomeShowShop.com, promo code Christmas. Always wishing everybody out there a happy and a healthy, no matter what you celebrate. The New York Rangers are not celebrating much this season on the ice. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're not playing up to the potential of what this team thought the roster would play to. So yesterday, the New York Rangers traded their 2019 second overall pick, Kaapo Kakko, to the Seattle Kraken. In exchange, the New York Rangers received Will Borgen and a 25 third round and sixth round pick. Kakko is only 23 years old. In his career, he has 61 goals and 131 points. He has played in 330 games. The trade for Kakko comes off the heels of 30 games in his first 5 years this season that could possibly be his worst, where he only has 4 goals and 14 points. The New York Rangers and general manager Chris Drury have been doing some moving this season, as they just, and Rocky talked about this on Hockey with Rocky last season, traded Jacob Trouba, their captain. That was their third straight C to be traded. They also made some other moves as well, but the Rangers are clearly making some big time moves. And I always wondered this, okay? When you get a trade like that, you look at Kakko's numbers, 61 goals, 131 points in 330 games. So essentially, Kaapo Kakko, as the second overall pick in 2019, was averaging a point every 2 games, okay? And you really got to say to yourself, well, what are we looking for here, right? Is it that he is just that good, and maybe that's always who he is, and we drafted him second overall, so we expected so much more, and we didn't get it? Does it hurt that in that same draft, the Devils drafted someone first overall, and that man is still on their roster, and they still, to this moment, really believe that that guy can lead their team. So it really is an interesting question and a time for the New York Rangers. And a time where you say to yourself, well, what do the Rangers look like 5 years from now? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think you probably should put Kreider on the trading block. You should probably put Zibanejad on the trading block. Okay. It's tough because you just signed Shesterkin to a long-term deal. So a lot of questions to be answered for the New York Rangers. If you were wondering, Jack Hughes, the first overall pick in 2019 to the New Jersey Devils. Yes. And so for comparison, you know what? Let's pull that up really quickly, just so you have an idea of where Jack Hughes is at after the same amount of time in the National Hockey League. So we mentioned Kakko's stats. In Jack Hughes' career, he's played in 340 games, so just 10 more than Kaapo Kakko. He has 127 goals and 195 assists for 322 points. So you see the difference there. Jack Hughes, first overall pick in that draft, has 190 more points than the second overall pick, Kaapo Kakko, who just got traded to the Seattle Kraken. So on Tuesday and or Wednesday, whenever Rocky decides to join the show again, I can promise you I will be asking him questions. Rocky Romanella actually must have heard me. He writes in, only optimism, 92 win President's Trophy, 93 failed season, 94 Stanley Cup. Great point at a Rocky. Those numbers he's referencing are the years 1992, 1993, and 1994. You can't compare. Jack has probably double the time on ice. I hear you, Rocky, but I can compare because they were drafted 1 and 2 overall. This is a scenario, my brother, where you cannot tell me, oh, it's the coaching. Well, yeah, of course it's the coaching, but at the end of the day, I think if he was great enough, he'd be on the ice. Jack Hughes, 191 more points, the second overall pick compared to the first overall pick. Hell yeah, I can compare. Just like I compare quarterbacks. I'm going to compare that guy versus that guy. Yeah, of course, the franchise and the coaching staff that they get drafted to matter. Who plays them matter. What line they're on matters. But at the end of the day, the first overall pick has 191 more points than that guy who was the second overall pick. And you have to ask yourself, was it the right pick for the Rangers? And if it's not, and if it was the right pick and they haven't played him the right amount, well, then why are we not firing our general manager and firing our coach? And then finally he says, and got to play first line and power play. That is Jack Hughes comparative to Kaapo Kakko. I hear you, Rock. At the end of the day, that is not the argument that can keep you away from asking the question of whether or not Kaapo Kakko was a worthy second overall pick. Same thing we're doing with guys like Bryce Young and Caleb Williams now in the National Football League. What we did with Daniel Jones, right? That's the major argument for Daniel Jones. Well, he should have never been drafted 8th overall. I don't disagree with you. I don't. The only thing I can do now is just tell you whether or not he's a good quarterback. I can't hold it against him, but others will. So yeah, if you're looking at that draft and you're going, well, what do we get for the second overall pick? We're that much worse than the first overall pick. There's a lot of factors that go into it. There's a lot of factors. And then Rocky finally goes, you can't compare the Rangers didn't have the first pick. We have to compare him to, now we're getting way too deep. That's too deep into your Rangers fanhood. The bottom line is a dude was drafted first overall. He has 191 more points than the dude that was drafted second overall. And we move on. Just like we would say, oh, was this quarterback a bust compared to that quarterback? Yeah. You're going to get deep into the offense. Yeah, but we're not going to compare him to the first and third overall pick. The bottom line is the first overall pick in the draft significantly outperforming the second overall pick in 2019. Therefore, the Rangers trade the second overall pick. We move back to the National Football League, and we have Thursday night football to talk about. So we roll. All right. Dude, big game tonight for the people. Big. You know why? Because playoff implications can be had all across the board. It's the Broncos. It's the Chargers. It is Thursday night football. Broncos 9-5. Chargers 8-6. The Chargers -3 as a favorite tonight. And so many things can happen. The first being, if the Broncos win this game, bang, they are in the postseason and they can eliminate a few other people. Secondly, and I'll throw this up on the screen, here is your current AFC standings. So the Broncos win, they can eliminate the Colts, they can eliminate the Dolphins, and they can eliminate the Bengals. If the Chargers win, the Chargers would then need to wait for Sunday night, and then the Chargers, if they beat the Broncos tonight, would need the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals to lose. So there's a lot of scenarios on the table tonight. The easiest one for the people to know being Broncos win, they are in. Chargers win, they need some losses from some other people. That also go to show you here in the AFC picture how the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals wildly are still alive. If you flip the script to the other side, you got the NFC. I don't know NFC teams are playing tonight. Wanted to just give you an idea of what their playoff picture looks like. Down to 23 total teams with a mathematical chance in the National Football League. So back to our game tonight. Broncos, Chargers. Okay, I saw on Draft Bananas that Bo Nix is 223.5 throwing yards. That's what we are going to take today. We are going to take Bo Nix over the 223.5. I'm going to take the Broncos at the +3. I've talked about this all year. The Chargers are one of those teams where they feel like they lose some stupid games, Harbaugh effect or no Harbaugh effect. That's been Justin Herbert's career. And so Sean Payton, Bo Nix having a really good year. Blood in the water, ready to make the playoffs again. It's been a down tick for Denver Broncos football over the last 5 to 7 years. I think they're going to take advantage of this game on the road, and I believe they can cover this spread at the +3. The other thing that I would like to take here in this game is I would like to take Justin Herbert over 250 on the throwing yard. So I got Bo Nix. We're going quarterback heavy tonight. Bo Nix 223.5. That's his line given. And I'm going to take the alternate line of Justin Herbert at over 250 plus. And then finally, just to give you that reminder, I got the Broncos at the +3. And that is the Rome Show on a Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. Jump back here tomorrow at 7 a.m. We'll be back. You can comment like Rocky did and tell me about how poor the New York Rangers coaching has been over the last few years. You can comment like Mike did the other day and tell us the other thing that we need to know about sports. That's the whole purpose. YouTube, X, Andrew Romanella, The Rome Show, RomeShowShop.com. Be electric today. Peace!
Thank you for listening.